folks, my name is Andreas and I'm a Swedish musician living in LA. Today we're going to be putting together my dream pedal board inspired by Nashville's greatest. For the past few years I've been feeling like I've been wanting a bigger pedal board with more sonic capabilities. For the most part I've been playing a smaller rig that only had about 4 or 5 pedals on it, excluding the tuner, and it was mainly focused around having 2 overdrives, a delay and a reverb. But lately I've been fortunate enough to get promoted at one of my jobs, so I felt I wanted to treat myself a little bit and put together the pedal board I've been wanting to put together for the past probably 3 or 4 years now. This pedal board is going to be mainly influenced by pedal boards by Tom Bukovac, Justin Ostrander, and some influence from Marcus King and Joe Bonamassa as well. As you can see, these are the pedals I'm going to be using to put together my dream pedal board. I also have a Greer amplification Lightspeed coming in the mail that I'm going to be putting on the pedal board as well. To put together the pedal board of my dreams, I've gone on Facebook Marketplace and purchased a Pedal Train Classic Pro for $100, which honestly was a great deal. It already came with Velcro on it. It also came with a Voodoo Labs 2 Plus power supply, and for $100 I feel like I couldn't really go wrong with making this investment. To power my pedal board I'm going to be using the Voodoo Lab 2 Plus that the board came with, along with an extra one. The extra one is currently on loan from a friend of mine, so I am eventually going to have to purchase my own or purchase this one off my friend, but for now it's going to have to do the job. So I got this Line 6 M9 stomp box modeler specifically for this build. Now this is a pedal that is used extensively by Tom Bukovac on countless of records, and I believe many other people over in Nashville use this one as well. This is the stock one. I would like to get it modded if the guy who does the JHV3 mod still does those. We'll see. I picked this up on Facebook Marketplace for all but $250. There's no need to go and look for one for $400. Try to get one on Marketplace. They should not be that expensive. Another pedal that Tom Bukovac uses that I've been wanting for a long time that I recently bought was the Strymon Lex, the first version, because it has less knobs, which for me, being kind of an old man in a young man's body, it's just easier to use this, and I've tried it and it sounds so good.
I like this particular Leslie box. I've tried every one of them. The reason I like that one the most because it's the only one to me that sounds good at slow speed.
Huh.
They all sound good at fast speed, right? But like
Right.
they all sound weird at slow speed. Most of them. This one sounds really good at slow speed, I think. You can put a little preamp drive on that too.
That's killer.
Pretty good, right?
Yeah.
I went ahead and purchased a TC Electronics stereo chorus, pitch modulator, and flanger. Now this is not a pedal that you often see on musicians' pedal boards in Nashville. The reason why I picked this one is because I used to have the original one from the 80s. I unfortunately made the stupid decision to bring that with me to a gig in Sweden, and when I put it in the 220 volt power outlets over there, the original one got fried inside. So I went ahead and bought the new reissued model, which sounds fantastic. Now the reason why I want to use this pedal is because Joe Bonamassa uses this in his rig to kind of beef up his guitar tone.
I also use a TC chorus pedal to split everything by the, so that's why you kind of hear this kind of, you're like, where's the chorusing coming from? It just tightens up the bottom end a little bit. I do notice it when it's off, but I don't notice it when it's on. It just tightens up the bottom end, because there's something about it.
I think he always leaves it on. I don't know that I will be doing that, but it is definitely a great sounding chorus that I've wanted to get again. For a tuner, I will, for now, at least be using the Korg Pitch Black Chromatic Tuner, which I honestly think might have been the first pedal I ever bought back in like 2010. And it's stuck with me for the past 16 years. So I think it's a testament to that if you buy quality stuff, they will hold up. Although I will say it's starting to get a little wobbly, but that's an easy fix. I'm a little bit torn whether or not I will be using this, but this is an NUX Monterey Univibe effect, which I bought in Honolulu in Hawaii on the Oahu Island. I will probably try to remember their name. It's a small family-owned business which I wanted to support any way I could. Being that I was there for vacation, I couldn't really bring home a guitar from Hawaii because I usually bring a guitar when I go there, but at least I wanted to contribute a little bit and get this pedal when I was there back in 2021, I think it was. Next, I'm going to be using my trustworthy Electro Harmonix Micro Pog. This is an amazing pedal that I honestly have to have on my pedal board. Not only because a lot of Nashville session players use the Pog too, but also because I have rhythm parts in one of the bands I perform with, where on the studio track it was doubled with a guitar tuned down a full step below the regular rhythm guitar, and for that I can use this and turn up the octave below and combine it with the dry signal so that I can get that beefy tone. I'm also gonna be including my old Boss DD3. This is a Japanese version from 1987 with the Boss DD2 chip, I believe. I've had this since 2012. I bought it from a friend of mine back in Gothenburg, Sweden, and it has consistently delivered. It's a great pedal. I currently use this for a very short slapback delay, but it sounds great. This is another old pedal, probably my first ever overdrive pedal I bought, which is a Ibanez TS7 Tubescreamer. I'm a little torn about this one, but I'll include it for now in the overdrive section of the pedal board. I like it, but it does a very big volume jump, and it is very mid-snarly, as you can imagine, from a Tubescreamer. But I mean, that's kind of where the guitar lives as well, so. Next is another pedal that I bought specifically for this pedal board, and this is a pedal I've wanted for a very long time. This is a silent modded Boss GE7 equalizer. I think you're gonna see this pedal on at least 80 to 90% of session musicians' pedal boards in Nashville because of how versatile this pedal can be used. You can use this as a clean boost, you can use it as an equalizer, you can use it as an overdrive, you can use it to make your guitar sound like different types of guitars by just moving the toggles. Tom Bukovac is one of the people that kind of shows you in some of the videos he's put out how to use this pedal.
And then my favorite pedal of all these pedals is the old Boss EQ.
Man, I've got that pedal. It's really noisy.
Well, you got to get them modded.
What's the mod?
Yeah, they just quiet them down. You can go in and get all the hiss out of them. Here's why I love this pedal, right? I basically could get by with just this pedal. It's the best solo boost pedal of all time. Huh. Like if you just bump the mid-range and then goose the gain a little bit, and then you kick it on when you play a solo, the whole world knows you're playing a solo on a live gig.
Right.
It's got just the right amount. Like everyone's always asking, what's the best boost pedal or whatever? Boss EQ, best boost pedal ever made. So like if you're just playing like, you know, a riff, right? When you're playing at 335 on a live gig, that extra mid-range bump, you just turn the guitar to the amp just a little bit. You get the perfect octave up, controllable feedback.
Oh, that's great.
And you bend, and just perfect octave up happens.
Yeah.
There it is, it's even there. We've got so much gain. I mean, at unity gain at 5, this thing will crank like. But that's not all I use the Boss EQ for. I use it for a lot more than that. Like you can turn the neck pickup of a 335 or a Les Paul, which is usually a pretty woofy sound, instantly into a Gretsch by doing this, cutting the 400 but boosting the bass and then boosting the top. Okay, so here's like your normal neck pickup sound. do this. Clarity.
I think it's more about what you're taking away than what you're
yeah.
adding.
And then you can also do fun stuff like this. Gas the mids all the way completely. Put a little bit of other distortion. Which is like amazing for certain parts.
This is something I've wanted for a long, long, long time. Probably since I saw that Slash used to use one for his rig back in the early 90s on the Use Revolution tour. But yeah, this is something I wanted so bad. I got this on Facebook Marketplace for $125. The guy I bought it from modded it himself, so it's not one of those Analog Man or XTS modded ones, but I've tried it out. It is silent. It does exactly what it needs to be doing, and it's awesome. I love this pedal. Next, we have another pedal that I got because Tom Bukovac uses one. This is called the Dispatch Master and is made by Earthquaker Devices. It's a combination of a reverb and a delay. I love that this pedal is also another very versatile pedal you can use at live gigs or when you're recording. When I put together a smaller pedal board to do a rehearsal the other day, I only had this on the board instead of the Boss DD3, and it delivered. It did what it needed to do. I set it to a slapback delay, had a moderate amount of reverb, so there wasn't overwhelming, and it sounded great. I love this pedal. This is great. This makes you think like, oh, does he have a real clone on his board? Did he invest several thousands of dollars into getting a real clone to put on his board? No, I did not. This is made by Seriatone, and this is called the Centaura. And I bought this back in 2021, I believe, 2020 or 2021. And I love this pedal. And I've actually gotten to try this against a real clone that my very good friend Sam has. We tried them both, we A/B'd them, like had them both set up next to each other, went only through both of them, and plugged them into a Marshall. It was very hard to distinguish the difference. This pedal is really well built and it sounds 99.9% like the real deal silver clone. As far as I know, this is not a very popular pedal amongst the Nashville session guitarists, but I really like this pedal. Chris Buck is probably the one that turned me on to getting this, and I think it sounds amazing, and I am gonna be having this on my pedal board. Next is another pedal, very iconic purple, but it is again not the real deal. I don't think I would invest $600 into getting a real King of Tone, or maybe I will, we'll see. But right now I don't feel I need it. My buddy Sam has a real one. We've A/B'd these against each other. This is a Chinese made King of Clone by 68 pedals, and I'll be honest, we both felt that this pedal sounded better than the real deal. We A/B'd them next to each other, the King of Tone against the King of Clone, and it delivers. It does what it needs to do, and I feel like it almost does it better than the original King of Tone. And I bought this on eBay for like 160 bucks. Is it the real King of Tone by Analog Man? No. And I have friends that have the real one that waited 4 years on the wait list. And you know, this pedal delivers. It sounds great, honestly. Get yourself one of these instead of spending the $600 to $1,200 that these are going for, depending on what lunatic is trying to get for theirs. Next. This is a love pedal, and it's called the Lius. This was a pedal I wanted for many years that I decided to finally purchase 3 or 4 years ago. And I think I saw it first like back in 2011 or 12, never got one, and it sounds amazing. Now the circuit is made to be used as a Fender from the 50s. Like, I think one side is supposed to be the high power tweed and the other side is supposed to be the Bassman, if I remember correct. And then it has a little switch. that you can combine the sounds with and make it sound unique. I'm gonna be using this almost like a fuzz face. I tried this pedal out in my lockout the other day, and I just dimed both of the knobs, and it did sound kind of like the pedal that Marcus King uses to boost up his signal a bit. It sounds really big. I'm going to be using this in a combination with other overdrives as a lead sound. Last that I have here for now till I get the Greer Lightspeed, I have the Browne Protein. I believe this is the second iteration of this pedal. So this side is the side that's supposed to sound like the Noble ODR. I used to have the reissue of the Noble ODR 1. I ended up liking this pedal a bit more, and the other side is supposed to kind of sound like the Marshall Bluesbreaker pedal from the 90s. And I kind of combine the two sometimes. I usually use the Noble side for rhythm parts, and then if I want lead parts, I have in the past either used the Bluesbreaker side to kind of make it brighter and a little more gain, or I've used my Seriatone Centura as a boost. But yeah, let's get going. Now for patch cables, I went ahead and bought 2 half dozens of Mogami SP500 cables from West Coast Pedals, I believe they're called. I might be wrong, I'll correct that. I wanted something really high quality, and I felt like it was worth investing in proper Mogami cables for this build instead of getting budget pedal cables. You know, I wanted something that was really good. I have 6 6-inch patch cables, and I have 6 12-inch patch cables, and we'll see if that will suffice or if I need to order more. I have now assembled the most of the pedal board. I've left space here for the Greer Lightspeed when it arrives, but as you can see, there's still a lot of space here just in case I would want to add more pedals. I've decided to put the Monterey Vibe here for now. The reason being is that it's gonna have to act as kind of like a guideway from the Lex through the Monterey over to the Dispatch Master, and then into the digital delay into the M9. As of right now, I believe that the pedal chain is going to start here at the Korg tuner, going into the King of Clone, into the Seriatone Centura, into the Browne Protein, into the Lius from Love Pedals, Tubescreamer, Lightspeed, Equalizer, Micropog, Stereo Chorus, Lex from Strymon, Monterey Vibe, Dispatch Master, DD3, and the M9. So I have gone ahead and put all the patch cables I purchased from West Coast Pedals in. As you can see, they look pretty neat, honestly, and the longer ones did come in handy. I did decide to switch places between the King of Clone and the Centura because it didn't make sense for the patch cables. But now everything is done. I will need to purchase more patch cables, the shorter kind, because I need 2 more to put in between here. But this ended up working out fine. This goes to the Monterey over to the Dispatch Master. Now I could probably put a 6-inch cable here because this is a lot of slack, but it's fine for now. And then I had to move the DD3 up a little bit so that it could reach the input on the M9. Now I'm gonna start putting in the power cables from the power supply to all the pedals. I want people to be aware, I didn't know this before I purchased it, and I should have done more research, but the Line 6 needs 2000 mAh, and a regular Voodoo Lab is not enough to power it, even if you were to use 2 and use a connector. And the Lex Strymon uses, I believe it was 250 mAh. So for that, I'm gonna be using this power outlet I think it was 250. But yeah, you have to use this. Otherwise it won't work. Other than that, everything looks great. Good enough for me. Obviously not a professional pedal board build, but I'm happy with this and it looks good to me. And as you can see now, I've managed to power everything, and once that Lightspeed pedal comes in, the pedal board will be complete. All right, so it's been a few days since I made the first half of this video. The Greer Lightspeed has come in, and I've decided to also go ahead and purchase the Boss 63 Fender Reverb pedal. I did see on Justin Ostrander's channel that he uses this pedal sometimes, and I tried it out. It sounds awesome. Honestly, I was considering investing maybe like money into buying a real old reverb tank from the 60s, or maybe getting the Ebo reverb that Tom Bukovac uses. And there, of course, you know, I might consider still doing that, but I felt for now it was worth it more for me to invest $100 into this reverb pedal that I managed to get. And it's funny, I went on Reverb and I started looking up this pedal because I've thought about getting it for a while, and I've been getting more into Spring Reverb over the past year, I would say. And these pedals, I've known that they're quite expensive. I've seen them go for like $200 or $300, and by chance I just saw someone put up a general listing of I have pedals for sale on Craigslist, and one of the pedals was this. And I asked him, like, how much do you want for it? And he was like, I want $100. I was like, deal, I'll meet you tomorrow. So I met him at a gas station. I picked this up for $100, and that was awesome. And then this finally arrived, my brand new Greer Amps Lightspeed Organic Overdrive. I've been watching a few videos online. I watched that pedal show, and it's pretty amazing how transparent that pedal is as an overdrive in going through a tube amp. All right, so here's the pedal board as it is now. As you can tell, I'm not sitting in my backyard today. I'm actually at work right now. I decided to rework the effect side of the pedal board. It made more sense to have the M9 on the bottom of the pedal board to the far left, and then that goes into the Boss DD3. The DD3 is a buffered pedal, which helps minimize noise. I noticed that the line 6 is sensitive to radio frequency, so I might have to get that modded by somebody. Then the DD3 goes into the 63 Fender Reverb Boss pedal, which will then go into the amp. So we are at the studio now, as you can see. I am here with my brand new Nashville session guitarist inspired pedal board. I'm using my 2019 Gretsch White Falcon, and I'm plugged into my old Watkins Dominator. One of my favorite amps that I've ever owned and played. It's a great little combo. I think it's about 18 watts. Not most people know about these amps, but they sound really awesome. Marshall back in the day actually more or less copied the circuitry to make their baby Bluesbreaker. Yeah. So I've had that amp refurbished and modded a little bit. When I initially got it, it more or less didn't work. The speakers, you know, they weren't in need of a recone yet, but you could tell that they were getting to that point. Fortunately, I've had Roy Blankenship change out the speakers for a pair of Creambacks 10-inch speakers, and then I had Colleen Fazio change out the transformer because I wanted the amp to be able to just be plugged into the wall without a step-up power transformer. So it now runs on 110 volts, and we also changed out some of the bright caps just so that I could get a lower brightness out of the amp, because it sounded at times like there was a blanket over the amp. And now it sounds nice, and it has that high end that I was looking for, and she did a great job on that. So thank you so much, Colleen. For the intro to this video, I was running through my pedal board, and I had the Centura from Stereotone on. The gain is it's all the way off. Treble knob is like slightly under noon, and the output knob is like at about 10. I also had my Greer amps light speed on. All of the knobs are more or less on noon. The loudness and drive knobs are just past noon. I also had the Boss DD3 from 1987, and I had that on as a slapback delay. I had my 63 Fender Reverb pedal from Boss on for a nice spring reverb. And when I started playing a little bit of lead, I turned on the Boss GE7. I've boosted the mid slightly, as well as the gain level knob thing, a little thing that juices it up a little bit. Let's start going through the tones. This is my dry signal. That's without anything on. So let's start running through the chain. First is the Centura. So here's my dry signal again. Here's with the Centura. Adds just something. Not a lot, but it adds a little bit. Next in the pedal chain is my 68 pedals King of Clone, which is an Analog Man King of Tone copy. Chinese made. Sounds pretty fucking good in my opinion. Pardon the language. That's just the red side on. Turn on the yellow side. Turn on both sides. That works if you want to play 80s metal, I guess, or if you want to just get a really nice, juicy lead tone. Next in line is the Browne Protein. Let's start with the green side. That's supposed to sound kind of like a Nobels ODR1. effing good. Very rockin' tone. Next is the blue side, which is kind of based on the Marshall Bluesbreaker, which is exactly what the King of Tone is. It actually sounds really good when you combine the red side of the King of Clone with the blue side on the Browne Protein. Well, let's hear the blue side of the Protein by itself. Alrighty, let's switch to a different guitar. All right, got my Gibson Les Paul here. It's a 1996 R8. It was stock when I bought it, and I changed out the pots, the caps, and the pickups myself. The pots are all 500K pots. I believe I have a set of paper and oil capacitors sitting in there. And the bridge pickup is Total Gravy PAF prototype that he gifted to me. Shout out to Mama Ann at Total Gravy. The neck pickup is a hand-wound pickup from whoever winds pickups for Max Guitars. Well, what used to be known as Max Guitars, at least. Scott Sheldon, who owns that company now, sold me a set of his PAF copies that he does. And that one sounded a little bit better combined with the bridge pickup from the Total Gravy. In my ears, they were more close in what they were measuring, and I felt like it was more balanced. This is a really sweet sounding Les Paul. Here's the clean tone. So after the Browne Protein, we are coming into my Love Pedal Les Lius, which is kind of what I'm using as a fuzz face. In Nashville, I know a lot of people use the Proco Rat, especially the older ones from the 80s and early 90s. Tom Bukovac is one of them. There's a few others that I can't quite remember, but I know that several people use that pedal to kind of get a fuzz-like sound. I could probably pick up like a JHS modded newer Proco Rat, but I tried the Les Lius, and I actually kind of like what it sounds like when it's doing the fuzz face-ish tone. I'm going to turn on the left knob first, which is kind of like the initial gain stage, and then I'll turn on the second one. And then if I need to get into fuzz face territory and it's not doing it on its own, I will engage one of the previous pedals, most likely the Browne Protein with the green side. Here's the left side on the Les Lius. Great tone, but it's not quite fuzz-like. So let's turn on the right knob. I think it's getting there now. So that's kind of like a fuzz-like sound. It sounds like the pedal is sagging a lot, which kind of creates that sort of fuzz-like tone. Let me engage the green side on the Browne Protein and play with. I'll turn off the right side on the Les Lius and turn on the ODR side on the Browne Protein. And that's also kind of like fuzz-like. Cleans up like a fuzz face element. Kind of doing it, but not really. Let's engage one more side. I mean, it sounds like almost like the amp is collapsing, which is kind of what a fuzz face to me sounds like an old school one. I have the micropog here on the pedal board. Now, you know, I could probably get sort of into Octavia territory if I engaged the octave things just like a hair. Like if I just engaged the octave up a tiny bit and ran the drive signal all the way up. Let's try that. Now I have the blue side on the Browne Protein. Let's engage the Les Lius. It sounds a little bit to me like the Hendrix thing, where there was like a slight octave up thing going on. Let's try it with both sides on the Les Lius. I mean, it's obviously not perfect, but if you tweak it even more, you could probably get there, which I love. All right, moving on. Next in line, it's my faithful old Tubescreamer that I bought when I was 15 or 16 years old. It's a TS7. I bought it for $40. You know, it's a reliable pedal. The way they built these, it's actually really like enclosed like a tank. I don't know if people have issues with TS9s or TS808s breaking, but I feel like this is built really robust. The knobs, you can push them down into the shell, and it looks, you know, like durable. It's obviously the least desirable out of all of the Tubescreamer versions they have out there, but it sort of does that Tubescreamer thing still. Very mid-rangey. Let's engage the clone a little bit. I mean, for what it does, I really like it. I also added a little bit of the light speed there. But yeah, so here's my clean signal. Now let me engage the Greer light speed. It adds just so little, but it sounds so good. Tom Bukovac obviously has one on his pedal board. Great pedal. Let's play a little bit with the knobs. I'm gonna bring up the drive to about 3 o'clock. That sounds really nice, honestly. Brought the drive down to about 1 o'clock, and I brought up the loudness to about 230. Let's see what that does. Sounds great. This is probably my new favorite pedal. It sounds amazing. Next we have the Boss GE7. Here's my dry tone. You can get a lot of gain out of this. I mean, Tom Bukovac has already kind of shown in his rig rundown what this thing can do, but let's raise the level a bit. Let's turn on the slapback delay as well. Lots of gain. Imagine like you combine that with like let's put on the Greer Lightspeed again, and then let's put on the G7. Gosh, playing guitar is so fun. I love the way this gear sounds. Next on is the Micropog. I'd rather show it together with a drive, just so you can get an idea of what I'm gonna use it for. I play in an ABBA tribute band. Some of the guitar tracks have been doubled with octave down guitars. Let's try this out. Let me reset the sub octave to about noon and take down the octave up. Without it, I have the green side on the Browne Protein engaged. So in Waterloo, the studio recording for ABBA, the guitar player Janne Schaefer double tracked the guitars a lot, and he did the regular riff like that. And then there's a guitar that's an octave below that. That's what I would use the Micropog for, basically. Bring it down a little bit on the sub. Let's see what it sounds like. Basically, that's what I would do with the Micropog. Let's switch guitars again for funsies. What I got here is a Greco JM700. It's not a real Fender, obviously. It's from 1980 during like Greco's so-called golden era. It's a great sounding guitar. Obviously, the single coily P90 Jazzmaster pickups are quite noisy, so bear with me on that one, please. Especially in this room where there's a lot of interference from around Hollywood. But yeah, this is kind of what it sounds like. I'm gonna engage the 63 Fender Reverb pedal. I'm gonna leave the 63 Fender Reverb pedal on for now. So after the Micropog comes the TC Electronics stereo chorus. I mentioned before, I used to have the original one from the 80s, and I accidentally brought it, I brought it to Sweden for a few gigs and didn't realize that it wasn't able to take 220 volts. So I fried it, and big regrets because I bought that pedal for like $250. I ended up giving it to a pedal builder, and he used whatever parts weren't fried to maybe give life to other pedals. So I bought this. I've listened to the comparison videos between the old one and the new one, and they sound pretty identical. So here we go. So I have the intensity set around 2, not 2 o'clock. It's set at the number 2. Width is set at 4, and speed is set just past 3. And I'll be honest, I've just copied the settings that I've seen on Joe Bonamassa's rig rundown that he has his set on. Whenever you see Joe, and I've seen him probably 3 or 4 times at this point, at different points in my life. First time was when I was 14 or 15, and he signed my first Les Paul. Thank you, Joe. But his tone is always really, I would almost say like low mid-rangey and very thick sounding. It's very balanced. There's no harsh sonic qualities to my ears. And a big part of that, I think, is the chorus kind of being in the background sort of and thickening up his tone when he's got it gained up. I have the input gain set pretty low, if not even off. I can bring it up to 5 and we can see what it sounds like. That's that pedal. Very nice sounding. Next in the chain is my Strymon Lex. The first version, V1. I'd wanted this pedal for like 3 or 4 years and finally decided I had worked hard enough to pay for it. I've been working 60 to 70 hours lately. I have 4 jobs trying to kind of, support myself. But here is the Strymon on, let's give it a listen. I have it on the slow setting. Sounds pretty darn good to me. Again, I've kind of just gone ahead and copied the settings Tom Bukovac had on the rig rundown. I have the preamp drive all the way down. I can engage it a little bit for you. I'm gonna set it at around 11. Here's what it sounds with the preamp drive on a little bit. Slow setting. Next in the cycle, we have the Dispatchmaster from Earthquake Devices. Now, it's probably a little more fun if I put on a little gain so we can hear it. So here's without it. So turn off. I'm gonna turn off the Fender Reverb Boss pedal. So let's turn on the Dispatchmaster. I have it set to a slightly longer delay at this point. I have some reverb on there. Sounds pretty fucking sweet. Again, another pedal that Tom Bukovac had on his Pedalboard. And for a long time, I just kind of wanted a pedal that did both delay and reverb at the same time. Mainly because I wanted to save space on my old pedal board so that I could have a few more drive pedals on there. So I ended up getting the Dispatchmaster after being a little bit dissatisfied with the Universal Audio Delverb. Not that that's not a great pedal, but I just felt that it didn't do what I wanted it to do exactly. I much more like the Dispatchmaster. Next, we are going to check out the Line 6 M9 Stompbox modeler. Probably the most versatile pedal that has everything all in one. Let's switch guitars again. Alrighty, this old beauty is a 1965 Gibson ES355. I bought this on Reverb for $5,000 on my credit card, stupidly enough. But this is honestly, in my opinion, one of my absolute best instruments that I own, other than my 1969 Les Paul that I didn't bring for this video. The 69 Les Paul is a black beauty. You can find it on my YouTube channel. But when I got this, there were several things that I wanted to change. It needed new frets, which I got done by Matthias T. He's a very private guy, but he did the refret and it plays awesome. I had him put on the same fret size as I have on my 69 Les Paul. I changed out the pots. The pots were not original. Nothing was original on the guitar. Nothing is still original on this guitar. It's a very, very player's grade guitar, which is why I got it for only $5,000. I probably had to put another $1,600 into this guitar just to get it up and running the way I like it. It's probably been refinished unless I'm very lucky and this is actually factory black. In that case, it's probably worth a lot more than I have into it right now, even though it's got a headstock brake repair. It had a pair of really ugly lock-in tuners on it. It had Tom Holmes pickups in it. Those were sweet, but a little too much presence for my taste, and They didn't look real like the old school Gibson pickups, and I ended up putting in a pair of late 60s Gibson pickups, patent number or patent sticker, I guess I should say. I think they have the flathead screws, so it would be probably post 1967, maybe into the early 70s, but I'm gonna guess that they are 68 to 70. I changed out the pots. It came with a set of newer 500k pots with Bumblebee capacitors. And that's what ended up in my R8 from 96. I took the pots I had taken out of this and put into my R8. And then in turn, in this guitar, I put in a pair of Central Lab 500k pots from 1962. They're the audio taper pots. And then we put in paper and oil capacitors, old Russian ones. This bridge came with my 69 Les Paul, but it was not original to that guitar. And it's kind of traveled between several of my guitars throughout the past 7 years since I got my 69 Les Paul. But this bridge sounds really good on this guitar. I believe these are 60s or 70s Grovers. They were also on my 69 Les Paul when I got it. They've been in a few of my guitars, and now they're on this guitar. This would probably be one of the last guitars I would want to sell, even though it's probably worth second to most after my 69, only because this has been modified. My 69 is more or less all stock now that I've put some of the original parts back on it. Yeah, let's hear what this sounds like. Something like that. Put on the Lightspeed DD3 and Boss Reverb. Let's try some of the effects on the Line 6 M9 stomp box. Start with the nice spring reverb it has. Why did I even buy the 63 Fender Reverb Boss when I have a spring reverb on this pedal? Sounds great. We have a chorus on here. Sounds awesome. Next, we have a tape echo on here. Let's engage the spring reverb again. Woo! I mean, I'm just using the effects I've kind of put in that I like. Here's a tremolo. That's pretty much it for that one. I could probably make it sound better, but I'm sure this is getting a little long. Next I have a hall reverb on. Bit of light speed and Boss G7 there with it. Sounds awesome. And it actually has a really good overdrive in here too. That sounds pretty good to me. And for the last two pedals, the DD3 and the Fender Reverb, you've heard them throughout the video. Let's plug in my Strat. So this Strat looks like it's been beaten to hell, right? Well, it's a relic. Sorry to disappoint, and I'm sure I'll get heat for that. But this is a Strat build that I bought on Craigslist for $850. The neck is an all parts neck. It's a 5A roasted maple neck. The body was made by an Italian luthier, and this is supposed to be the Rory Gallagher. Sorry, I'm probably mispronouncing that. Rory Gallagher inspired. The pickups are Lambert tones. The middle tone has been wired so that it's on all the way when it's halfway, and then when you roll it past 5 up to 10, it adds a mid boost, and obviously master volume. So let's engage the Boss DD3. Have it set to slapback delay, as you already have heard throughout the video. Most people might argue with me as to why I wouldn't have gotten the Strymon timeline instead of the DD3 and the Line 6 M9, since you can actually put in the BPM values and have it set for gridded music that's like very like has to be on the beat. But I kind of like that it's a little bit old school, because, you know, like our favorite artists from the 60s and 70s and maybe even 80s, they didn't really play the clicks, to my knowledge at least. They used those old Echoplexes and tape machines, you know, to get delay, and it wasn't on time or anything, but it sounded great anyways. I've had this DD3 since I was 15 or 16 years old. I bought it from a friend in Gothenburg, Sweden when I was growing up there, and I was playing in my first bands. I think I got this one that's from 1987 from him specifically because Joe Bonamassa uses an old Japanese one like this one with the DD2 chips. As you can tell, I do a lot of research online on what gear my heroes uses. And I love this pedal. I mean, I used to use it more for like a longer delay, more similar to what Slash does in the beginning of Welcome to the Jungle Live. But now I like using it as a slapback. And then in the last pedal in the chain, we have the 63 Fender Reverb Boss pedal, which is supposed to kind of sound like the reverb unit from this, from 1963. And that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching this. This is a pedal board I've been wanting to make for several years, and I finally got my dream to come true. And I'm really happy that I finally pulled the trigger and got this together. For funsies, I'll put in the description under the video how much this pedal board would cost you in total if you wanted to put one together yourself with the exact pedals that I'm using. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you've liked the tones. Hopefully they came out good. I mic'd my Watkins Dominator up with a SE Electronics Voodoo ribbon mic, the VR1, which is the passive version. I realized that this building I'm sitting in is not grounded the best, and there's probably gonna be a bit of hum, but you know, I just have to work with what I got. You know, I'm not a rich person who could afford recording this kind of video in a nice studio or my own house or anything. So here I am in my lockout in Hollywood, California, you know. Anyways, my name is Andreas. Thank you so much for watching. If you want, you can subscribe to my channel. I'll try to do more videos coming up.